gonna be a little something more. I've got a plan in mind, a special thing in store. The light bulb inside my head says, get out and play, 'cause you never feel this way. It's my lucky day, it's my lucky day. It's my lucky day, my lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold, a rabbit's foot or to be told. It's my lucky day, it's my lucky day.
Hello, happy Tuesday, my friends. I am so glad you are here. I hope it's been a wonderful day for you. It was the most beautiful day I think we've ever had in October here in Connecticut, and I always feel so much better when the sun is shining and the weather's beautiful. So I hope you had as good a day as I had. And I think I know one of the things that made today such a great day for me is that I was looking forward all day to this live stream and to this conversation that I'm going to be having here momentarily with a friend of mine. That I just admire so much. So, give a quick hello, Jeremiah. Thanks for being here. If you are just joining us, I would love if you would drop a note in the chat and let us know that you're here. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce our special guest. So, Bri Johnson is how we know her on LinkedIn. Brianne Johnson had spent the last 10 plus years in corporate human resources, partnering with C-suite executives, business leaders, and employees at all levels, showing up to work every day with a smile on her face, a critical thinking mindset, a can do, will do attitude, and the ability to create a positive impact in the workplace. But what many, other than her family and close friends, didn't know was that she was struggling significantly behind the scenes with her mental health. She was a self-proclaimed yes person to all, a workaholic, a people pleaser, a perfectionist, and someone who never said no. When everyone thought I was thriving, I was barely surviving, she said, professionally burnt out and personally lost. In September 2021, when her daughter was born, it was like life smacked her on the side of her face. The life I was living was not sustainable for the life I wanted to build, she said. I needed a change, and so I went for it. In 2022, she became a stay-at-home mompreneur, founded Build to Become, and created the Pivot Framework to empower and inspire unfulfilled and burnt out mamas to create change within themselves, ultimately impacting their own life and those around them. Change is hard, but being stuck is way harder. You have the choice to live a different life. You have the choice to make a change, and you have the choice to pivot. And so, with that, I'm going to welcome Bri onto the screen. Hi, Bri.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. This is awesome.
I am so glad you are here.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know Bri, I love Bri's enthusiasm and excitement and energy for motherhood. A lot of you on LinkedIn know that I have 3 children, and they're big grown children now. And I'm on the far end of parenting. But what I don't know that I've shared often is that I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years, and it was the hardest, best work I've ever done.
Yeah.
So, Bri, can you talk about what led you to that decision to be a stay-at-home mompreneur and what that took?
Yeah, I mean, really for me, and you kind of briefly went over it in the intro, but the minute that my daughter was born, I knew that I needed to make a change, and I knew that I needed to do something different for me personally. And in full transparency, I am an open book. I show up and I tell my story just as it is. Like, I never anticipated or had any intention of becoming a stay-at-home mom. But when I had a little girl and when I had my daughter, I just knew in my heart of hearts that I had to make a change for myself. And the best way that I knew that was to kind of let go. I never say that I quit. I never say that I've given up. I let go of my identity that I played in corporate human resources for over 10 years. I let go of the identity that I thought that I needed to stick by because of either social stigma or even the pressure that I put on myself to climb the corporate ladder and to be this person of high performing, corporate human resources leader that was just going to continue to keep growing in her career. And to make that significant shift, which is what I call my ultimate pivot, in becoming a stay at home mom and really channeling my focus from everyone else in my world to myself. And, I did that in January 2022. And, I went through another round of what I consider an identity crisis of not knowing what I was doing. Like, did I just make this decision? Did I let go of something that I had worked so hard for and building for so long? But the minute I had became my life changed, my priorities changed, my perception changed, everything changed, including me and my idea of the life that I wanted to live and the life that I wanted to build.
So you mentioned in that a stigma. Can you talk around that a little bit and what you're meaning by it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that especially right now as a millennial female, there's a lot of social pressure to stay within the corporate realm and climb that corporate ladder and have a seat at the table. And I was actually just having a conversation last week with another entrepreneur who also happens to be a mom, and we were talking about how I put so much pressure on myself to be at the table that I missed. I was at the boardroom table. I was at the executive leadership table. I had a seat at the table. I was there, but I missed dinner and I never had the opportunity to be at my dining room table. And I knew that when my daughter was born, I wanted to choose which table I was at. And I chose to be at my dining room table every single night, as opposed to being at the corporate boardroom table.
So what was the reaction of the people in your life as you made this big decision?
I mean, honestly, I got a lot of support in the fact that I think a lot of people knew and supported me in that no matter what I put my mind to, especially in becoming an entrepreneur, that I was going to do whatever it took, that I was going to create community and create collaboration and build relationships because that's what I've always been really good at. I also think there was also this perception that sadly, there was a little bit of wasted talent there. I was really good at my job. I had scaled the corporate ladder. I'd built incredible relationships amongst thousands of representatives, sales representatives, and leaders and companies that I supported and worked with. And to become just a stay at home mom felt like to them that you know, like, what are you doing? Like, that's probably career suicide. Like, you're not going to be able to just jump back in. Maybe you think you will, but that's probably not going to happen. And the longer that I've been out of the standard workforce, the more I've come to terms with the fact that I now feel that. Like, I was in corporate human resources. I had been working with women and men, anybody that has taken career jumps, that have taken career leaps, that have taken career hiatuses, that have taken sabbaticals, that have kind of job hopped per se. And for me, I was always really passionate at understanding their story. And it wasn't about, everybody has a story as it relates to their career, whether that's decisions that they made on their own or decisions that companies unfortunately had to make for them in letting them go for whatever reason. But for me, it was always about ensuring that I understood what their story was. And when I took that massive leap, the ultimate pivot, I realized this is just a part of my story. And it's very much a big, significant part of my story. And I want to empower others to be able to share and be a part of that and not feel that, that the world's ending or that they're never going to be able to jump back into it, if they so decide to do so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And I love your focus on the story and how this is just a different part of your story
Hmm.
because we all, I think we all have that, have had that experience where we tell somebody what we do and we're met with, like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
oh, that's what you do. What kind of what kind of responses have you gotten that maybe have surprised you when you tell people you're a stay-at-home mom?
I mean, I think initially, honestly, like it was really hard for me to even say that I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't know who I was. I wasn't confident in the fact that I am a stay-at-home mom, or I am an entrepreneur, or I am a life coach for stay-at-home moms, or I am a transformational life coach for women. Like I didn't have the confidence within myself at the very beginning because I wasn't sure if I had made that decision in the right way. So I was met with responses that I had already kind of anticipated in my own head because I had these ideas in my head that maybe I didn't make the right choice. And I've been met with all sorts of responses. Some people, the other stay at home moms get it, right? I'm met with the applause like, you're amazing. You're so empowering. We need you in this world. Like what you're doing is so important because the community of stay-at-home moms is very minimal. There's a lot of there's a lot of noise out there because a lot of stay-at-home moms are listening to the noise in parenthood as opposed to understanding and reflecting who they are personally as an individual. But really, like I've been met with all types of different responses. Like, oh, that's great. Or, oh, how long is that gonna last? Or, oh, must be nice. Like there was a lot of must be nice. You're hanging out with your daughter all day long. And I was like, whoa. Like, and then I've also been met with some of my friends that were like, I could never do it. Like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you've come to terms with just being a stay-at-home mom. There's always like this word just that comes with it. And that's really, it's a hard, kind of a hard pill to swallow, but I've really kind of come to terms with the fact that I am not just a stay-at-home mom and I don't live by the roles that I play in life. I live by the empowering, resilient, proud, happy, joyful, strong, independent, brave, courageous woman that I am. And that's kind of how I have kind of stepped forward into this journey um, in general.
I absolutely love that.
Mhm.
The word just is such a hard word. It's so sneaky
Yeah.
and it finds its way, if we're not careful, in front of so many things and really diminishes who we are and what we do.
Yes.
Because I have found myself on so many occasions, oh, I'm just a mom. Oh, I'm just I just talk about journaling. Oh, I just do this. I
Yeah.
just do that. But
Yeah.
there's no just about anything.
Hmm.
And I would like to dig in for a little bit about what you said about you being lost,
Yeah.
and taking a while to find your footing. Can you describe kind of what you mean by that, what that was like for you?
Yeah, I mean, so I had went through an infertility journey with my first daughter, Jordy Ray, who was born in September of 2021. And I kind of had kept everything behind the scenes. I was very focused on work. I was very focused on kind of scaling that corporate ladder, being the yes person to all, proving myself over and over and over again that I deserved either the next promotion or the next accolade or whatever it may be. And, I got to a point where was sitting at a crossroads just before a couple months before I had my daughter, and some of my greatest advocates in my company had started to depart. I had announced that I was going to be going on maternity leave, and I was kind of met with, okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to figure this out. We're going to help support you. But I was also met with a very much of a lack of understanding of what I actually did on a day-to-day basis. And not just the value of my role, but my responsibilities kind of started to, like, they were diminished a little bit. And I started to question like everything that I had worked towards. and why I'm literally growing a baby in my belly. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing? Like, why am I have kept this whole thing. I'm working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I'm always on. I'm growing this beautiful human, this miracle that I've waited for so long, and I've kept it a secret. And once I was finally able to share the news, I was met with even more burnout than what I had had in the entire, amidst the pandemic, amidst all of the infertility treatments, amidst multiple projects and taking on significant high level projects within the company that I was working for. And I was just kind of counting down the days. I was counting down the days to my maternity leave because in that moment, I knew that I was going to have at least a mental break and a mental offload of work. And while I knew that being a mom was going to be really hard, I knew that I could overcome anything and any obstacle that had come in my way because of everything that I had been dealing with in my corporate world. So I was so lost. And I was just prior to my maternity leave, I had to make a decision on whether I was going to switch departments and come back, if I was going to stay in human resources. I was being offered and having conversations about moving over to operations. There was just a lot in my professional life. And I was so burnt out and I was tired. I did not want to make any more decisions. I'm like, let me just have this baby and let me figure out my life. And then that literally, when she was born, it was like, like, you have to change. The way you are living your life is never going to be sustainable. So you have to figure it out and you have to pivot and you have to set boundaries and say no and figure out who the heck you are. And I just started doing that by building effective, sustainable habits that worked for me and showing up for myself, because I knew in that moment I had not shown up for myself in so long. The rubber met the road. Like I was done. And I'm like, well, I can't be done. I have a baby. So you can't be done when you have a baby. You're just getting started. So I had to figure out how to fuel my fire. And fueling my fire was just small little habits. I mean, one of the corniest things that I do every single day is I have this quote I tell all my mamas: one load of laundry a day keeps the weekend stress away. Don't plan on all your weekend. Like, who wants to spend your weekend doing laundry? Pop a load of laundry in every single day. It becomes a part of my routine. I hate folding it, but I do it. You put it in the washing machine, you switch it, then you fold it, and it's done, and it's away, and it's just like, it's like this whole, like, just little things. It's those little small actions that lead to such great impact.
I love that. And I wish I had someone like you when I started staying home with my kids. So I didn't ever spend time around kids before I had my own. So when I brought this little baby home, I was like, well, what do I do with it? And
Mhm.
my partner was as helpful as he could be, which is
Yeah.
not very helpful.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, it's just you home all day. So like, a baby doesn't really make a mess. So the house is going to be clean and, you'll be able to put dinner on the table for me every day and you can take care of all of this because, you're home all day and you'll have all of this
You have
time.
all of this time. I know everybody's like, I think that's one of the biggest conceptions and misperceptions of the stay-at-home mom is, yes, you absolutely, like, I made a massive sacrifice because I wanted more time freedom, but we all still have the same exact amount of time in every given day. And whether I have a 2-year-old, a 1-month-old, and pregnant with my second, whatever it is, we all still have 24 hours to align everything that we feel like we need to do, including what we need to do for ourselves in that amount of time. And, there are certain days where it's wonderful for me to have dinner on the table. And then there's other days that it's just not in the cards, and that is okay. And, I always make sure that for me, my biggest thing is filling my cup up so that I can show up as the best mom and the best wife and the best daughter, sister, friend, whatever it may be. But it's all about building those values and building those habits so that I can play the roles that I do play in my life.
And that is the magic trick
Yeah.
to being happy in life, I think, and living our purpose is really, no matter how selfish and counterintuitive it feels, that taking care of ourselves first
Yes.
gives us that capacity. I have said over and over that I have one regret in life. And my one regret in life is that I didn't journal enough when my kids were small.
Yeah.
And I have a mom who stayed home with me when I was growing up, and she would tell me, she would tell me a couple of things. She would tell me, get up before your children get up, and then
Yep.
you have time for you every morning,
Yep.
which is easier to say when you don't have children who think the day should start before 5 a.m.
You're right.
Um, and she would say, write it down.
Yeah.
Write it down because you're not going to remember. And I would listen to her tell me, and I was like, oh, you probably had to write it down because your memory is not very good, but my memory is really good.
Great.
Because
Yes.
how could I ever forget that cute, wonderful thing he did?
Yes.
Well, and you remember for a while
Yeah.
until they do the next wonderful thing. And then you have another one who comes along and also does amazing things. And
Yep.
then in my case, I had a third one. And I had a significant period of my life where I wasn't writing things down. And not only did I miss out on a whole lot of years of getting to document their stories, I missed out on a whole lot of years of getting to know myself
Yes.
and who I was and what I needed. And it took me years and years to realize how disconnected from myself I really got, that
Yeah.
I really lost myself in that world of motherhood and staying home because my job was to care for these people, which is great. And I loved it. But I also have a responsibility to myself.
Yes.
And I have a responsibility to them to take good care of myself and to model that for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that, even if it's, there's so many journals and there's blank pages, you are writing your story and you are creating. I always say, make it, take it, create it. Make a decision, take the action, and create the life that you want. And by doing and writing it down and just taking notes and just thinking about, like, I was so good at filling out my belly book, right? Every week you have a bump and it progresses, and you have these apps nowadays that just tell you it's the size of a cucumber or this and this and this, and you have all these things that you can journal and you can document and as a part of your pregnancy journey. And then when the baby comes, you just start to, it just happens so fast, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, the only thing that you're told to document in the hospital is like number ones and number twos, and did they spit up, and are you breastfeeding, and how long, and like that, like that's what you're told to document. And those are just little things. And then you just kind of lose sight of doing that. And you look back, and I have a 2-year-old, and I'm just like, where did it go? Like, how on earth did this happen so fast? And there's things that she does every single day that it just takes a quick second, or even, a picture with a caption, or me jumping on and doing like a video vlog, like just something short so that I have these memories of what she did. And, I am inspired and motivated by my daughter, by my family. Like, when I talk about my why and I talk about my purpose and I talk about living with purpose, it's because of my family that I am here today. I do it because of them, but I do it for me. This isn't for anybody else. Showing up here and showing up for myself isn't for anybody else other than me. And that I just make a point to ensure that I'm doing all of the little things, the mundane things that people don't love and don't like to do, but that creates so much fulfillment and so much efficiency and so much happiness and joy in myself that just like it just ripples out. It's just like, okay. But like in my office, like I literally look behind it, and it's all of my daughter's toys. Like if I were to flip this around, it's her playroom. There's a little table here with some chairs. There's, bookshelves with all of her books. She has all of her toys, and everything's, it's nighttime, so it's organized and it's clean. But I come in here every single day inspired and excited, because this office at one point was so daunting to me, and I needed to create a space where that I loved, that she loves, that kind of brings everything full circle as to why I show up every single day.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. So I'm curious to hear. Just bring me back to my days as a stay-at-home mom, if you would. And for the folks who are listening who maybe have not been in this situation, what does a day in the life of for you look like these days?
Yeah. Well, every day is different. I have a 2-year-old, so that's definitely been a change. Like, I think over the last year, every day she changes. Every day she learns something new. She's in this developmental phase where it's just like, did you just say that? Or how did you know that? Um, I'm also, very blessed, and I'm pregnant. I just went through IVF, so I'm pregnant with my second baby, and I'll be at 12 weeks this coming Thursday. So a day in the life right now is really just, we wake up, we have a standard wake up time. My daughter is an incredible sleeper. So for all of those mamas out there that have struggles with their kids sleeping, I I don't know how 100% how you feel, because my daughter loves to sleep, which is good and bad, because she definitely, if she's not tired, she doesn't want to sleep. So she's just like, go, 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 go. But usually we get up in the mornings. I try my best to get up but before my daughter, depending upon, when she wakes up. She does go to a preschool, a little school, a couple days a week to allow me time to fill my cup and to do what I do for my business and do what I need to do for my own personal and professional development. But typically we have I completely shut it off, right? So when I'm working when she's at school. So it's hard sometimes for other individuals that aren't in that situation to recognize like my boundaries. Um, but I spent so many years of my life having no boundaries and being always readily available. And if someone wanted to, check in or hang out or talk or chat or follow up or whatever, I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So normally we wake up. I usually try to wake up between 6:30. I get a workout in the mornings. I usually try to read a little bit of personal development books. I do a daily devotional. I try to write a little bit. I write my content. So the content that I post on LinkedIn is real and raw and fresh from that morning. Some days it takes me a little bit of time. Some days I don't post until a little bit later, just because I'm kind of running around like I'm doing my mom duties. And other days I'm pretty specific on when I post by like 8 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. But on the days that I'm home with my daughter, it's full mom mode. We do lots of activities. We go on walks. We spend time outside. We read a lot of books. We do a lot of drawing and coloring and all of those things. But my biggest thing is to be living life in the present and living life in the now. I spent many, many years of my life thinking about what's next and what's new. And the minute I had my daughter, I said, you know what? Like, I'm living my life in the now. What happened 10 minutes ago is irrelevant. What is going to happen 10 minutes from now doesn't matter. I live my life with intentionality, and wherever I'm at and whatever I'm doing, I'm solely focused on that. And I think it's really important to live a present life, um, so that you can live and fulfill and live a purposeful life, and live an authentic life, and kind of just be in the moment. Like I always say, moment, the first 3 letters of moment is mom. And that is what I want to be. I want to be the mom and the moment parent, living in life in the moment.
Yeah, so that reminds me of when my youngest had her kindergarten Mother's Day tea. So
Yeah.
they had, you got there in the morning and the whole class lined up to sing the Mother's Day songs. And I remember making a choice, like, do I record this so I can watch it later, or do I just sit here and enjoy it now? And I'm looking around and I'm seeing all of the other moms with their phones out looking through the screen. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm probably never going to watch it, so I'm just going to be here
Yes,
now.
be in it.
And to see how her face beamed, she was like, "Wait, that's my mom, and she's paying attention to me,"
Mhm.
was the coolest, best feeling.
Yes. And that's like I had a very pivotal moment when I first became a mom and I was trying to figure out who I was and what I was doing, and I was kind of going through this whole identity thing, like I don't even know where I'm at right now. And I was doing a lot of scrolling, like I was trying to escape
Hmm.
where I was at by looking at other moms. And I found myself comparing. And I had this moment where I don't even remember what I was looking at. I was probably looking at something on Instagram. I was just, scrolling through my feed, looking at some reels, checking out some pictures. And I looked down and she was looking straight at me, but she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the back of my phone. And I realized in that moment, like, I don't want her to see her mommy or her mama through a screen, through a phone. I want her to see me and, doing what I love to do in the boundaries of which I set, where she can still see me work and she knows what it means when mommy's working, but I don't need to be attached to my phone all of the time. I didn't want her first couple words to be, "Oh, mommy's phone" or "daddy's phone." So I really make a point to shut it off and to put it aside and to just be fully present, because being in the moment is so special. And then if you follow it up with writing it down, you're capturing that moment in a completely different way, as opposed to just scrolling through pictures. Or like, if you think about it, like I think about my mom had all those VHSs, all those at-home videos. Oh my goodness, we would pop them in and we would love to watch those at-home videos. But that was just a small clip of our life. It's like a highlight reel
Yeah.
that you're creating. And there's so many special moments that you can actually just be present and be in it. And it's so much more impactful than if you're just trying to record it or get a good shot or get a good picture or, whatever it is. Candid is best.
Yeah. Always, always, always.
Yeah.
So I want to pick up on something you just said about looking at other mamas.
Yeah.
So something that is very human of us is to look around to see what all of the other humans are doing.
Hmm.
And if we look at the wrong people or look too long or look without being really grounded in who we are, it is so easy to get lost in that and to think, oh, well, she's doing it this way. She must have it all figured out. Or
Yeah.
on our hard days, like, oh, she doesn't know what I'm going through because,
Mhm.
her children are perfect little angels because look at how beautiful her Instagram feed is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I think of it like this: everything is a highlight reel, including this conversation, right? It's a highlight reel. It's a small portion of both you and I's overall general arching stories. And when I started to post and create content and show up on social media, I really wanted to make a point that I was going to show up as authentically as possible, to share whatever I possibly could in the most vulnerable way, but still knowing very well that what I'm sharing is just a small, small portion of everything that we have going on in our life. And it's so easy to get stuck in that comparison mode and to feel like, okay, we're not doing what we should be doing because this is what I'm hearing. And sometimes you reach out for advice and then you get way more advice than you expected, especially as a mom. I just recently had this happen to me because I felt like before the age of 3, Jordy Ray shouldn't be having any screen time. So I went on my Instagram and I just said, "Oh, what are some recommendations?" Oh my goodness. I was just flooded and flooded and flooded and flooded, like these busy books and this, and she shouldn't be on screen time, and definitely don't have her watch this. And then, you start like, okay, well, I did that wrong and I did that wrong. And that's not right. And she watched a movie today, which she shouldn't be watching movies. And like, you just start to say like all these things that you shouldn't be doing. And instead, it's just a mindset. It's a mindset shift. in how you're thinking about things. You are an incredible mom. You are doing everything you possibly can do. You have the choice in this very moment to change a decision that you're going to make. You also can protect your space. So I made a point a year and almost a half ago. I felt like I was on another social media platform. I was on Instagram, and I felt myself comparing, and I felt myself putting myself down and starting to create judgment upon myself based on what other women and entrepreneurs and moms were doing. And I said, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need this. I can absolutely protect my space. I can remove all the apps from my phone. I don't need to log in. I said almost like I almost said like a see ya farewell. Like I said a post. I said I'll see you when I see ya. If you're a part of my network and you're a part of my world, you know how to contact me. And that was it. And I finally got myself into a space where I felt confident again to be able to show up and not find myself in that comparison mode. But it takes courage and it takes bravery and it takes a level of self confidence and self care and the idea that, you know, first off, we don't all have it together. Every single person is dealing with struggles. Um, whether they share them or not, that's up to them. That's not for us to judge. That's not for us to critique. That's just for us to love and support everybody as they are and who they are, regardless of if you know what they're struggling or what they're going through or not. Like I always say, just, care, not compare. Like,
Oh, I like that. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
care for one another. Like it doesn't matter. You don't know everybody's true story. So stop comparing yourself to anybody else.
Yeah, I always say I try to pay just enough attention so that I can be inspired by other people and cheerlead them on. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm going to put up my blinders and just do
Just
my
keep
own
going.
thing.
Yes.
Because whenever I play the comparison game, no matter how I stack up, I always, always lose. There's no winning when we compare.
Right. There's no winning when we compare, and you're just pretty much said you're like the best person that you could be is you. There is no sense in sitting in a seat saying, I want to be the next version of this person, or I want to be a better version of this person. And sometimes we even have to tell ourselves, like, it's okay to not be a better version of me today. You hear a lot of the 1% better every single day. Sometimes I'm barely making it, I'm barely making it to the threshold level. I'm barely treading water. I'm not going to be better today, but I am who I am today, and I'm going to show up as I am today, and that's okay. And it is completely okay to just show up however we are and not be afraid or not feel inferior that we aren't showing up our best every single day, because it's just, if you continuously level up, it's amazing, but eventually you get to the top of the ladder and you're standing there like, what do I do? Where do I go?
Yeah, and sometimes it's those messy, messy moments
Oh
that
yeah.
make the most difference. My kids
Absolutely.
can they are 16, 18, and 21, so they can look back and they have a lot of mom stories of how mom fell apart, or, "Hey, remember when mom did that thing?" Or, "Remember when mom was so mad that she burnt the pancakes and nobody would eat them?" Or whatever it is.
Exactly.
That
Yeah,
those are where we get the stories.
yeah,
Those are the moments when we can show our kids, hey, we don't have to be perfect. We can make mistakes, and here is how we fix them.
absolutely. And I think that's so important, especially as moms. I feel like when you're a mom, you feel like you're in this role where you have to be strong and resilient and never face adversity, or at least never show that you're facing adversity, or, you have to have it all together. And just a couple weeks ago, I was really struggling. I was physically struggling. My husband was out of town. I've been dealing with first trimester symptoms with this second baby. I'm taking care of a toddler, and, I don't have a village around me. It's just me and solely just me. So when things get tough, I have to step out of the room and take a deep breath and then step back in. But sometimes when I step back in, like, I lost it, and I just became so emotional. And my daughter was literally, she's 2, and she's rubbing my back saying, Mommy's sad and Mommy's crying. And I said, yeah, I said, it's okay to feel. The best way to heal is to feel. We have to be in tune with our emotions, and we have to allow ourselves to express our emotions, whether that's verbally, whether that's in writing, whatever that is. I feel like we have constantly, especially as moms, we have to put this wall up, and it's just like moms are the heroes, moms are the strong ones, moms are the, the backbones of the house, but that backbone can crack, and that backbone, can fall apart sometimes. And it's kind of like, you're building a Jenga piece, and you pull out a piece and then you pull out another piece, and if you keep pulling out all the pieces, eventually it's going to crumble. And it's absolutely okay that we share and show our emotions with one another and feel comfortable and vulnerable enough with creating relationships with other moms where we feel safe and we can express ourselves in a way that we don't feel like we're going to be judged, or we're not doing the comparison game. And we're open and transparent about like kind of what's going on in our lives, but also with our children's and with our spouse and with our family and with our friends, because that, like, maternal mental health is a big thing. And it's really hard to be a mom, and you feel like you're doing it by yourself, and you feel like you're in it alone. But I can assure you you're not. And I can assure you that there are so many other women that are in the same boat. It's just a matter of us kind of coming together and working together and empowering one another to just be like, I get it, I was there, I remember it, or I'm in it, or oh boy, what do I got to look forward to? But yeah.
Uh, I love, as an older mom, getting to share those stories with moms that have younger children. I have a colleague who has little ones at home, and her one of them just started kindergarten and was having a really hard time. And I, I told her, I was like, well, you know, I had a kid who had a hard time at school too. She spent all of first grade in the nurse's office. I had a kid who got expelled from high school. I had a kid who did this other thing,
Yeah.
and now my kids are again these big, beautiful people, and they can look back and they're like, "Wow, my mom was a really good mom," and that is the coolest, best thing is to
Yeah.
hear your kids say it and mean it. Like, wow, mom, you are a great mom. And I hear it from my kids all the time. And
Good.
it is the biggest gift that they can give me is to recognize how good they have it. Even though my youngest is really upset that I won't let her drive with other people in the car, because the law here, it's a graduated driving situation. So
Yeah.
after 6 months, then she can drive with her siblings,
Yeah.
and then after a year, then she can drive her friend. And mom, you're the only mom who won't let me drive with people. Then I'm the only mom who
Okay.
follows the law. It's
Yeah.
just how it is. And that's
Yeah.
one battle you're not going to win.
Exactly.
But for her to look back and tell me, even though this one thing I do really bothers her, she's so lucky to have a mom who understands, who listens, who is here.
Yeah.
And so, my favorite thing to always tell people is the being there matters.
Yeah.
The being there for the good times matters. The being there when you're frustrated and annoyed at them matters,
Yes.
to create a safe space for them so they know no matter what, they can come and talk to you, even if they are angry,
Yeah.
and it's just putting in the reps every day and showing up and doing the thing, even if it's hard,
Yep.
even when we're tired, even when we're discouraged, because it matters. Every bit of it matters, and it all comes together in the end,
Yeah.
even when it's messy.
Yeah, and even when you have to make it up. Like sometimes, I'll read a book and I'm sitting in the pitch black, and like, just for example, she wanted to read Rainbow Fish. I'm like, I don't have Fish memorized. I have every other book, all your little nursery rhymes. I have those memorized. I could just flip through the pages and pretend I'm reading, but I'm actually not reading. I just have everything in my head. But like for Rainbow Fish, I was just like, and my husband was like, "How do you have that memorized?" I'm like, I don't. Like, but I'm reading it to her and she's so happy and mommy's reading Rainbow Fish. And sometimes you just kind of roll with it and you just kind of have to play around with it and she loves it. And, it's just those little things that you have to do that we do as moms, that we're constantly pivoting and we're constantly, doing what's best for ourselves and for our families to make it all flow and work. And it's the most challenging, but yet the most rewarding and incredible and beautiful yet brutal role that we play.
Awesome. So tell us real quick as we wind our time down, how do you help other moms? Can you tell us about a bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I am a life coach for stay-at-home moms, and what I do is I work with women, either new moms or soon-to-be moms, or women that are moms with littles, usually between the ages of 0 to 5. They haven't gone off to school yet, and I call it the ultimate pivot. And pivot is a framework. Pivot helps women and moms navigate identity crisis. And pivot stands for purpose. It stands for identity, values and vital behaviors, opportunities and obstacles, and timely transformation or transition with trust. And really, it's about when the mom is standing at a crossroads on whether what do they do next? Do they want to go back into the corporate world? Do they want to go back to work? Or are they working right now and they would give anything to be at home with their kids? Or they're at home and they have no idea who they are and what they're doing and they're just lost. So, I'm really passionate about helping burnt out, unfulfilled, in need of change mamas recognize change and prioritize themselves. And we go through the ultimate pivot is what I call it, the pivot framework. And we work through that. And I have a couple different ways that I work with my clients on that.
Awesome. And how can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. I also have an Instagram account. It's brianne.n.johnson, and my website is www.buildtobecome.com.
Awesome. And to close us out, what is the best parenting advice that you've given or received?
I think, the best parenting advice is stay true to you. Be you and show up as you through and through. You have to show up for yourself first in order to show up for anybody and anything else in your life. And that includes parenting. That includes being a mother. That includes, showing up as the best parent possible. So I always say that you have to show up for you first, be your truest and most authentic self, be vulnerable, and kind of just let it ebb and flow, because that's the whole beauty of and the journey of life.
That is so much more appropriate for baby showers than my standard baby shower advice, which is everybody drops the baby, which is, we all make mistakes. Yeah, I say at baby showers and people look at me like, what? You really
What?
dropped your baby? Everybody makes mistakes,
No,
right? And our kids are so much more resilient than we give them credit for. And
absolutely.
they are that way because we help them become that way.
Yes.
And as we pick ourselves up and carry ourselves, forward and just try to do better, that's how they learn to do it too.
And they learn resiliency through your resilience. Like, you as a mom are one of the most resilient human beings on the planet. And that's so important to take that credit and to know that value and to know that worth, that your children are resilient because you are resilient. Your children are confident because you are confident. They're courageous. They're brave because you are showing them and you are leading by example every single day.
Yeah. What a gift.
Yes.
What a gift.
Yes.
And Bri, it has been such a gift for me that you've been with me tonight. So thank
Yes.
you so much for being here and for sharing so much of yourself.
Yes. Thank you.
And
It's
everyone, we will see you next time.